Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Katie, the Mountain Mystic, and I am so happy to be here with you today for this important conversation, a conversation centered on this really challenging aspect of what we could call the spiritual path, the ascension path, any sort of path, process, practice that has you as an individual doing practices, doing activations to, as we speak to lift ourselves up, rise up. Maybe it's has to do with lifting your vibration, right? That's a popular way of speaking to this process, right? That has to do with, finding ourselves in a world, in a lived experience that, maybe I say these words that we don't want to be in. It doesn't feel good to be here. But the spiritual path, right, or different paths, maybe you like the word spiritual, maybe you don't. These sort of ascension paths, right, that again offer promise of lifting ourselves up and beyond, right, higher than that which is here, down in this dense lived experience on planet Earth. And this is an important conversation I want to have because it keeps me awake at night, because every time I record a video or hold a circle or record a practice, it's in the back of my head being that, I don't want to be one of those people. And I certainly don't want to be a teacher or facilitator of the type of space that has us spiritually bypassing reality. I sort of refuse to be, will be a stand to be someone who holds us in reality to the degree that serves. Be a stand to remind us that we are human beings and we are part of this earth. And in no way, shape, or form do I believe that we are put here so that we can ascend beyond it. Right? That one's a narrative that comes in, many shapes and forms. It is very strong in certain religions like Christianity. It's very strong in, sometimes I feel it in, sort of sense it in Buddhism. I sense it in sort of different spaces, different religions, but also in spaces like the world of tech and this need to get to Mars because we don't want to be here on Earth. Right? So this isn't about, pushing down or picking on religion. Right? When I created Upward Slopes, it was founded from a space that, the things I was taught to sort of look down upon in religion, actually had very similar threads in the realm that I lived in, which was science and tech. Right? And what it is, the heart of it is the ascension narrative. It's the ascension narrative that has to do with not wanting to be here and wanting to get somewhere better. And I have a problem with this. I have a really big problem with this narrative because what it does is twofold. What it does is manyfold, but we'll speak to it in two ways here. The first thing that it does is it has us focusing on self, our own wants, our own aversions, our own desires, while it ignores or actively disconnects from the collective. And because of this, we have created a reality where the collective suffers deeply while the few get to live the life they want to live. This is a way of being on planet Earth embedded in systems, structures, belief systems, finances, careers, right? All these different things that lifts up the few at the harm of the many. And here, working in, what I'm speaking to these days is the new Earth space. One of the pillars we stand on is that we are a stand for being done with this way of being. I have took what I had created as upward slopes, which is a sort of critique on ascension narratives, and I out of that space birthed We Are the Forest as a space of remembering, of knowing, of honoring that we as humanity, as a collective web of life on planet Earth, stand on equal ground. And that any ascension path that is worthy of walking does so by lifting up the whole. It's no longer about me taking myself out of this world because I don't want to be here, because the systems and the structures suck. It is me being in it to whatever degree serves. As I, yes, do my own internal work, because there's work that I need to do internally, as it's connected to the whole. So again, this conversation, right? This conversation on how do we do it? How do we walk through life in a way where, yes, we are in tune, engaged in, actively practicing all those powerful, amazing practices that help us rise up through the dark density of the crap we're ready to leave behind. The systems, the structures that don't serve, the systems, the structures, the belief systems, right? The physical systems, the man-made systems, all of it that's here that doesn't serve. And if it doesn't serve me, it doesn't serve the collective, right? That's the space we're working in. How do we be in the both and? How do we be in a space where we can do the practices, where we can do that light code activation? I'm doing this like amazing light code activation series with Angel Raphael Lee Kelly. She's amazing. The YouTube, like the way this woman came to me, and I'm just like doing her light code activations right now, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. There's other spaces I facilitate practices of calling in the light, of embodying the light, being the light. I am so about these practices that have us calling in the light, calling in that higher, more intelligent, maybe use the word divine intelligence, divine love, light. We call it in. We embody it as we go live it out in life. And there's this real qualm I have with the way of being where you do it, but then you disconnect yourself from life because life pulls you back down. Because again, we can't have a whole bunch of spiritual people ascending in disconnection from Earth. That can't be the path that we choose here. But again, then the question becomes how? How do you do the practice? Call it in, embody that frequency, and then hold it as you go out in life, as you go out into the world, as you go out into the chaos that is this world right now. And it's a question that if I had a perfect, equation that guarantees results for you, how amazing would that be? I don't have that, but what I do have is guidance. What I do have is guidance for how to do it. And underneath that guidance, what I have is, a statement that, the answer to this question, your ability to do it, I believe, is the true task of our time. As anybody walking a spiritual path, an ascension path, I believe the task of our time is in this embodiment piece, this new earth piece, it's no longer about me closed off in my house, doing it on my own. It's about me doing whatever practice is, speak to me, being filled with that light, that beautiful energy, that higher vibration, and then being able to go out in life and hold it. Go out in life, be that person. How do you do this? How do you do this in all walks of life? This, I believe, is the true spiritual quest of our time. This is our task. It is not to ascend beyond this earth. It is not to transcend, to get somewhere high, light and love filled in its ultimate form. Certainly not to build a rocket ship to Mars, but it's to be here. It's to be here on this earth, with this earth, grounded and connected to the living beings that are here in all their forms, in all our diverse forms. To be here in all of it, grounded, embodied, as we do whatever it is we need to do to lift ourselves as a collective out of the hell on earth we've created. Because we have created hell on earth to a great degree. Because humanity has been living these narratives of self versus other, of it's about me and my own self and my own path, while I get to ignore the rest. We've been living this for too many hundreds, for too many thousands of years. And so we've created a world of extreme wealth gaps. We've created a world where our ecosystems are dying out at mass rates. We have created a world where we still cause direct harm to other life for whatever end. Okay, we won't go down that rabbit hole right now. The path out does not unfold in our own individual, self-centered ascension path. It happens as we connect into the whole and do, again, all those beautiful, amazing, powerful practices, whatever form they show up for you. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's light code activations, maybe it's getting outside on the earth, being in the forest, feeling the sun radiating down through you as the trees are alive around you. There is something about our time and the sheer abundance of spiritual wealth that we have access to right now. That anyone, right, we're here on YouTube, can explore and tap into this abundance of spiritual wisdom, spiritual technology, practices to help you lift yourself up. They're here in abundance, and it's amazing. It is a true gift of our time. The challenge is not having access to them. The challenge is discerning which ones are right for you, which ones are aligned for you, which ones will truly serve you and the collective, and engaging in those in a way that, yes, lifts you up, that heals your wounds, that brings you greater insight, greater wisdom, greater cohesive whole nature of self, and brings you into connection in the whole, as the whole, all rising up as one. Because that's reality, right? That's sort of the spiritual truth at the core of it all. You follow all these different spiritual wisdoms, and I've been someone who's been honored to be able to study such a diverse set of spiritual traditions. And what's amazing to me is how these truths, these deeper core pieces of wisdom, show up in all these diverse traditions. And the one that holds a core here with We Are the Forest, Katie the Mountain Mystic, is this spiritual truth of the oneness, right? Of the non-duality of nature. That you and I, me and the forest, we are not separate. And when we live in separation, which is what we've been doing for hundreds, for thousands of years, we are causing a fundamental disruption in this truth, in this reality. And because of that, pain and suffering is going to rise up from it. We have to begin by knowing the wholeness and the interconnected nature of our reality. By the way, this comes up in a bunch of spiritual traditions. It also comes up as a fundamental principle of biology, right? Which is my original, one of my core wisdom traditions. Biology, the science of life, teaches us that we are not as boundaried as we think, that our boundaries are permeable, that we are fluid, that we are dynamic, that what I think of as me is constantly shifting, changing, in flux with my environment. So it's a truth that goes deep. Take any spiritual wisdom tradition, pursue science as a wisdom tradition, takes us to the same point, this interconnected nature of who we are as nature beings, as spiritual beings. So we get to start from this space, this interconnected nature of the whole. We get to practice from that space. And in that practice, we get to play, we get to explore, we get to try out different practices. We get to learn from different traditions. And all the while, we do our best to be in the both and. Yes, lifting ourselves up, becoming wiser, more discerning, more knowledgeable, more healed versions of self. Connected to the whole because we are doing the same thing as a whole, as a collective. And how you do that, how you live that in your life is the question, is the task of our time. So I'm going to keep speaking to this. Because I have lots of guidance to offer on how we do it. Today in Circle today, we're this amazing group of 4 women. We got super specific talking about how we do this in regard to when we speak up in life, when we show up in life, because we can sit here and do a powerful energetic practice, which is what we did, with our throat chakras. I don't like to use the word chakra. It's not a system I tend to work in, but our throat, I like to work with a similar system, the chakra system, but in a more embodied way. So the throat, working with the energetics in our throat and that feeling of being open, that feeling of being free to express what I want to via words. Connecting that in to a whole channel full of light, right? Which is that freedom of expression through your whole being. And you can do that as an energetic practice, and it's powerful. Then how do you step into life and actually do that? How do you step out into life and to speak your truth when you need to speak your truth? Right? That's a specific example for the rubber meets the road of where these energetic practices get to come through, get to be embodied, get to be experienced, made manifest here in this lived experience. So in Circle today, we got to dive deep into this and really share from personal experience and weave wisdom, share wisdom, be in practice. So, that's one sort of thing that happens in Circle. So if you aren't yet part of Circle, visit upwardslopes.com/circle. That'll get you to where you need to go. Circles right now are open and free for all, which is pretty amazing, I think. Okay. Closing down again. I could speak to this topic forever. I will continue to speak to it. Would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Tell me what it is that you do in your life to really embody this. What helps you? Maybe a little nugget of wisdom, a little practice, something that helps you to stay grounded in reality and to not get pulled down by reality, right? This is something I didn't speak to today. Because the real challenge of this, right, is to then not get pulled down by reality. To do the thing, raise your vibration, call in the light, upgrade self, whatever words you want to put there. Hold that and then go out into the life in a way where you can hold that and not get pulled down by it, not get pulled back down into the chaos of the world. It's really the crux of the practice. So maybe I'll speak more exactly to that in the next video. That gets to work with a lot of fun nervous system stuff. We get to work with a lot of grounding in that context. That ability to stay grounded, stay standing in that higher vibration, connected to the light, connected to love. As we go out and do the important work that is here to be done in this world, in this crazy world that we found ourselves in. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. do so now. Leave a comment. Let me know what's going on for you. And I look forward to catching you next time.